Starting your own freight broker business, yes, that's appealing to a whole lot of people. Think about it. You get to be your own boss. You're working from the comfort of your own home. You're making great money. You're controlling your own time, therefore giving you more control of your own destiny. So yes, that sounds like a whole lot of fun, but stop for a minute. Think for a minute. You know the hard part? The hard part is figuring out how to get started, and more importantly, how to build a successful freight broker business, especially in the age that we're living in. We're living in the information age, and we're overloaded with information. Everybody has something to say, some advice to give. Try this, try that. And of course, we're impressionable, so we start running after all of this information. But what happens is we get overloaded with that information, and we get confused, and we get bogged down, and we don't know what to do. So what I'm gonna do for you today is I'm gonna give you 10 tips that are gonna guide you through the process of getting started and building a successful freight broker business. Tip number 1, let's do a self-assessment. I think it's so important that we look at ourselves. Take a look at who you are and why do you think you would be a good business owner, a good freight broker, because there's 2 parts to that. You can be a good freight broker and a terrible business owner, and you'll never build a great business. You can be a good business owner and a terrible freight broker, and you'll never build a great business. So what is it about you? What is it about your skill set that matches well with this profession? Why do you think you would be a good business owner? Why do you think you would be a good freight broker? Why do you think you would be a good salesperson? What type of personality do you have? Are you the type of person that looks at a situation and says, regardless of what happened, I'm gonna keep going, I'm never gonna quit, I'll always keep moving forward? Or are you the type of person that when adversity comes, you shy away and you say, hey, I'm giving up, I'll go and try something else? You need to really take a look at your skill set. Why would you be a good freight broker? Take a long look at yourself, and then if you don't see the skill set there right away, what you need to look at then is to figure out, hey, am I willing to put in the time that's necessary to develop this skill set? Because just because you don't have it right now does not mean that this is not a good field for you to come into. But you have to be able to say, hey, I'm willing to start training myself. I'm willing to start learning what I need to learn to get better. If you're willing to do that, I think that this could be a profession for you. But I think it's very important that we do self-assessments. Take a look at who you are. Take a look at what the requirements for building a great business, for building a great freight brokerage, and then move forward from that point. Tip number 2, understand your why. Why do you want to build a freight broker business? Why do you want to be a successful business owner? It's so important, so critically important to your success to identify this early on in your business. The reason why we want to identify why you want to start a successful freight broker business is because I can promise you, I can guarantee you this. It's going to get tough. You're going to run into some rough patches. It's going to get dark and murky inside of your business. And you will entertain the thought of quitting. Yes, you will. I know you're saying you won't right now, but you'll give it some thought. But when you have a strong why and you refer to that why, it won't allow for you to quit. That's why it's so important that you embed in your mind, you know why you're doing this. Tip number 3, money and credit. Now, I don't think you need a whole lot of money. You don't need the best credit, but you do need some money and you do need decent credit in order to get your business off, get it off on the best foot that you can get your business off on. I think it's important not to borrow money. People look at this and they say, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna borrow money to get my business started. I don't like that idea. A freight broker business does not cost a whole lot of money to get started. You're probably gonna be able to get a freight broker business started, everything, for less than $5 grand. So I don't think it's a good idea to try and go in and borrow startup money. You don't need a whole lot, so why would you do that? Start off clean where you don't have to worry about any loans. You can just focus on building the business without trying to focus on building the business and paying loans back. Also, you want to take a look at your credit. It's important to have decent credit. I like to at least have a 680 credit score and above because it allows for you to qualify for the best surety bonds. Freight factoring companies are not going to have problems working with you. It's good to have decent credit. I see people limp into this business and they have credit scores that are less than 600 and they're trying to get freight broker surety bonds, and those bonds are costing upwards of $7,000 or $8,000. These are not sustainable bonds. You cannot build a freight broker business with an $8,000 bond, at least you can't do it successfully most times. So I wouldn't suggest that you go that route. Clean up your credit. Make sure that your finances are stable. Get on good financial footing, good credit footing, and then enter the business. I hate seeing people come into the business where they have a whole lot of issues with credit. They don't have any money. They're trying to piece things together to get started, and they just struggle. And yes, I want you to get started. I want you to get started as quickly as possible, but don't rush it. Prepare yourself. I believe that the better prepared you are, the better chance that you're going to have at being successful. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Tip number 4, know what you're getting into. I cannot tell you the number of times that people come into the freight broker business and not know that the freight broker business is about sales. They don't know that a freight broker is a salesperson all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. It's about selling your service to your customer. It's about getting them to understand what it is that you're offering and being able to offer it in a way that they can see value in it and they're willing to purchase what it is that you're selling. But it is about sales. If you don't understand that, you're not ready to start a freight broker business. Look into the business. Understand the basics about the business before you start to jump into it. I see that way too often. I want to make you know that sales is an instrumental part of you being successful. So if you want to be a successful salesperson, if you don't already know about sales, if you're not a salesy type person right now, well, you want to start learning about sales. You want to start training and getting a good understanding of who you are, what type of personality you have, how you're going to sell your product. That's so very important. Don't come into the freight broker business without at least knowing you are a salesperson. All right, tip number 5, don't just do something just because you see everybody else is doing it. For example, everybody does not need to start an LLC. Sometimes you can start a sole proprietorship, and it may be in your best interest to do so. It's important to talk to your tax professional, your CPA, to figure out what is best for you, but don't just automatically jump for the LLC. And I see other people starting off businesses as S corporations. When you start an S corp, usually you're starting it based on paying yourself. So if you're not making money yet, consistent income, then it probably isn't a good idea just to randomly start off as an S corp. So talk to your tax professional, talk to your CPA and get guidance on that, but it's probably not in the best interest of everybody just to go out and start an LLC. Tip number 7, let's talk about this niche talk, about picking your niche. I think it's important to have a niche on your mind if that's what you want to do, to say, hey, I want to move this type of freight, or I want to specialize in this type of freight. That's great. But usually what happens is your niche ends up finding you. For example, I started off saying that I wanted to move heavy haul freight. Well, I ended up getting a refrigerated customer first. So then my attention went to that refrigerated customer. I want you to think about something. A lot of people say they want to move all different types of freight. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. We should move different types of freight. But when you first get started, I think it's better to learn what you need to learn to be the best service provider you can be to that customer. Because remember, it's all about how good you are at what it is that you're doing. Tip number 8, the team. Right now, when you first start off, you usually start off as a one-man show, and everything is on you. But at some point, you'll start to look to hire members of your team, because your team is going to allow for you to get to the next level in your business. Because your team members are smarter than you in certain things. For example, I have a CPA because he's smarter than me when it comes down to the tax laws. He knows about that. He studies that. That's his profession. So I see it beneficial for me to hire him to take care of taxes for Alliance Logistics. At some point, you'll start to hire team members. Team members are very important to your success, but still in the first part, it'll all be on you. Tip number 9, money. Money is a priority. There's just no way around that. We have to see money as a priority, I believe, to be successful business owners, because all businesses have to make money in order for them to be successful. Now, I don't think we should necessarily be focused on making money itself in the very early stages of our business. I think we should be more focused on learning the skill sets we need to learn to make money. But I do think what we need to focus on is the process, how to make money as a freight broker. Because once you understand it, once you understand the process, once you got the how, then you can go out and produce money. Tip number 10, don't waste your money if you don't have the time to put into the business. The one thing that I can assure you is this business will require a lot of your time. This is not a something for nothing type business. You have to put something into it in order to get something out of it. And it's going to require a lot of you, especially in the early stages. If you think you're going to spend most of your time on your job and very little time of your business and it's just going to somehow build itself, think again. So those are the tips that I wanted to share with you today to help you to be able to get your business started and to eventually build a successful freight broker business. I wish you the very best in your life and business. I'm going to leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series. It's titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It will give you a chance to come into the office with me, watch me move loads, talk to shippers, talk to carriers. That way you can get a better understanding of how the business works before you come into it. I'll also leave you a free video right here that'll show you exactly how much it's going to cost you to start your own freight broker business. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. Remember this, we are what we repeatedly do. See you at the top because the bottom is much too crowded.